Hello, everyone, and welcome to Magic in Media, the podcast brought to you by the Vibe Collective and me, Carly D, a reader here at the Vibe Collective. This podcast blends magic with the current pop culture news and moments to show you that magic is all around us every day. We just have to look around and find it. So we find the metaphysical and the magic in the world all around us and share it with you. Welcome to Magic in Media. So we have a fun episode planned. We are late summer nights, mid-July. We're going to talk about how Lana Del Rey applies to Cancer season and the energy that we're in right now. But we are mid-July. We are also mid a very intense Mercury retrograde that really started at the beginning of this month and now will last until July 23rd. So today's the 15th. We've got a little bit more time left in this Mercury retrograde. So we are going to touch on that, what we're feeling, how things are going, where we've seen some Mercury retrograde disruptions or challenges in the world on the grand stage, so we can kind of see what a Mercury retrograde moment will look like in our own life too, right? So our first topic is actually going to be the energy we are feeling this week. Like I said, today is July 15th. So think this energy really started on Sunday, Monday, because we had a new moon in Cancer yesterday. So Cancer is the sign that we're in the sun, and our moon was in Cancer. So this new moon in Cancer that we had on Tuesday, the 14th, which was yesterday, was a very emotional new moon, a very emotional new moon. Cancer rules a lot of emotions for people. They're known as a very sensitive or emotional sign. They're sometimes called the crybaby sign. So if you were feeling sad, emotional, even for a reason you can't really understand yesterday and today, so July 14th and 15th, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of people just around me in the general public or in my circle have been feeling a lot of emotions or things coming back up. Now, something I want to touch on that really is a theme of this Mercury retrograde, and probably a lot of us have been feeling this month, is that Cancer emotional bringing back emotional things or wounds from our past that we haven't spent time with, that maybe we need to heal a little bit more. Or maybe it brought back more emotional things when it comes to relationships, and not just romantic relationships, but think familial, platonic friendships maybe that have been challenging for you. So think of what has come back or revisited you this month when it comes to emotions. What wounds do we need to spend a little more time with, get a little more comfortable peeling back the layers of, so we can really get to the root of what we need to heal emotionally. I say that because we have all very intensely been feeling this Mercury retrograde. I always joke that when we get to this point of this summer and we're in Cancer season, there's some kind of emotional thing happening, hence the Lana Del Rey summertime sadness idea. We are kind of sifting through our emotions in Cancer season, and in a lot of ways we are trying to come home to ourselves or give ourselves maybe more love or nurturing. Cancer is also the mother sign, so a lot of the time we may need to mother ourselves now in this life, or look at how our relationship is with mother, or just mother figures, or ourselves being a mother figure. So there's lots to unload already in Cancer season, and then we're throwing a Mercury retrograde on top of that. We're going to see things from the past coming up. We've been seeing a lot of nostalgia. Frog in my throat. We've been seeing lots of nostalgia or things coming back. This has already kind of been a theme of the last year. I saw that, they're rebooting movies like The Cheetah Girls, which was very popular in the 2000s, and now nostalgia that's coming back around, right? We're seeing things that we maybe had emotional ties or connection to when we're younger, showing up differently now that we are older. This is similar to kind of the energy with what we talked about in the Toy Story 5 episode of Magic in Media, and how we can kind of look back and see where we were there as children, and now how this story has followed us all the way into adulthood. So again, with this Mercury retrograde, with this Cancer new moon we've been feeling this week, honor your emotions, take care of yourself, return to yourself, take care of your home. There is a big kind of advice going around when we're feeling like this with a retrograde and a new moon like this, to stay home and watch your mouth. I remind people a lot of that during Mercury retrograde. If something maybe not so nice is on the tip of your tongue, Mercury retrograde is not the time to try it. So stay home, stay to yourself, especially this week, as much as you can until the 23rd, and be sure to make yourself feel comfortable, make yourself feel nourished, like we talked about with the motherhood and taking care of yourself and mothering yourself. So that may look like cleaning up your house, tidying up a little bit, maybe making a comfort meal for yourself that is more of a winter meal, but we're in the middle of summer. Do something that brings you comfort. And when you are feeling kind of the anxiety and stress that we're under during a new moon, Mercury retrograde kind of energy like this. So another way we've really seen Mercury retrograde show up is over, July 4th weekend. That was really when the Mercury retrograde was just getting started, if you will. There were a lot of big storms that, were all kind of across the country. I know on the East Coast and where I am in the Midwest, and that affected the power, electricity. Lots of people lost power and electricity. Now, a reminder that Mercury retrograde affects technology, travel, and communication. So all technology is kind of altered when we are out of power, obviously, and that is a big weekend, right? There's a lot of things going on 4th of July weekend, probably uprooted some people's plans. That is very Mercury retrograde as well, to have plan B, C, D, and E ready to go when we are in a Mercury retrograde, and to pack your patience, because things may just take a little longer. It may be a little bit more challenging, but you will get through it. So think of how you saw people going through the power outages over July 4th weekend. We saw a lot of that happening in New York and New York City, kind of just like over even using the power grids in these highly populated areas. So that is on a world scale or a bigger scale, where we can see that that's some Mercury retrograde stuff to be happening. And it's happening to like everyone. So those are examples I like to point out when a Mercury retrograde is happening. There are big things like that happen that affect lots of people that are just very Mercury retrograde. So think about what happened in your own life, maybe over 4th of July weekend. You had some travel plans that went awry, or you had to change, or maybe some trips or travel have changed for you. But that is what we're looking at the rest of this Mercury retrograde, which will last until July 23rd, and expect more things to still come back. Retrograde is revisit, renew, remind, all of these RE prefix things. So keep that in mind as we get through the rest of this Mercury retrograde. Now, I always like to touch on the current sign we're in, and just kind of list a couple celebrities, give you a couple ideas of how these signs show up in media or show up in the public. So we are in the middle of Cancer season. And like we said at the top of this podcast, Cancers are known for being sensitive, for being emotional, for maybe leaning into their emotions, to leaning into that crab shell sometimes. They may not always show how they feel, but they feel very deeply. And they do show how they feel, honestly, if you pay attention, but they do it in their own way. So think of that. If you know a Cancer, you may think they look really tough on the outside, or that they're not affected. Know that they are affected. They're very sensitive. They just have that hard exterior, that hard shell that they've put up to protect themselves. And when you think of the crab as an archetype, the crab uses its shell as its home or its protection. And again, Cancer is very connected to home, very connected to comfort, to nourishing. And when we think of nourishing or nurturing places, that's usually our home, right? So think about Cancers that you know. Think about the behavior that they have, maybe even just like the motherly aspect of Cancers. But they are definitely, I would say, the silent type. They're not the first to, tell you exactly how they're feeling. It kind of takes a while to get in with a Cancer. And when I say get in, I mean emotionally, right? To let them tell you about themselves. When they start to kind of break free of that crab shell, you do not see it that often with Cancers, But that is how you know a Cancer really trusts you, is when they start to open up to you. So just keep that in mind if you want to show up a little bit more for the Cancers in your life. Just show that you're there, be present, don't pry it out of them. But if they trust you, they will tell you how they are feeling. So, some famous Cancers that we can look at are, first up, Ariana Grande. If you know me, you know Ariana Grande is one of my favorite artists. She is on tour right now. She's wrote many albums and many songs about her relationships, about love, about loss, about grief. She has a long past and history of kind of crazy things happening to her, very emotional things happening to her, loss happening for Ariana Grande. So she writes her songs from the heart. They're very emotional songs. If you listen to them, even though she does have different styles, there is a lot of heart and there's a lot of meaning and her own personal story going into her songs. There's a quote I always think of when I think of Ariana Grande. Jake Shane said it. He's a TikToker and a podcaster, but he said when you listen to Ariana Grande, it's like dancing with tears in your eyes. And that is so true of Cancers and so true of her music. Of it makes you emotional, right? It kind of makes you tear up, but it has a bop kind of, melody going to it. It has you shimmying and shaking. So yeah, Cancers, dancing with tears in your eyes. So I always kind of loved that quote to explain Ariana Grande's music, because Cancers are feeling, right? So she's acknowledging how she's feeling in her music, even though these are kind of like harder emotions, but she keeps it light enough where we all can kind of enjoy her pop music. Another famous Cancer is Princess Diana. I associate a lot of this with kind of like sadness in a lot of her life. When we think of Cancers, again, being sensitive and being emotional, you kind of think of her journey. And overall, to be honest, I feel her legacy does have just this air of emotional sadness and sensitivity to it. I even think of the very famous picture of her like sitting out on a not like a boardwalk, a diving board, and she's sitting out by herself and all you can see is the ocean behind her. This is a really famous Princess Diana picture, but even that is so Cancerian, right? She's by the water, so Cancers are a water sign, and she's out there by herself, and she's obviously thinking or feeling and ruminating, but like I said, overall her story, her lore has a lot of emotions attached to it. And if you think about it, she has been such a vessel of emotions for a whole country, for her whole family. There's a lot of Cancer energy around Princess Diana too, when you think of her as a mother, and the role she would have taken in the royal family if she was still here with us. So I definitely think of her as a more historical Cancer, or a way that we can look at Cancers from the past. But definitely some Cancer energy there with Princess Diana. And as we said at the beginning of the podcast, another famous Cancer is Lana Del Rey. Again, very emotional lyrics, very personal lyrics, similar to Ariana Grande, written from the heart and written from personal experience. I always think of her song, like I said, Summertime Sadness, and that is such a good July song, and it's so true of Cancer season. If anything, that is like my Cancer anthem from her. But again, this is just showing that Cancers find their own ways to show their emotions, to share their emotions, which is why we have a lot of Cancer musicians who we relate to their songs on that more emotional level, because Cancers just kind of feel that sensitivity a little bit more. So another famous Cancer, not a singer, but is Meryl Streep. So even think of the way she projects emotions, the way she kind of is taking a character's emotions and feelings and she's projecting them. She's really a master at the art of emotion and being sensitive to that when you think of acting and Meryl Streep. And she, like I said, is also a Cancer. So think of the Cancers in your own life. I always kind of think of them as a tricky sign, to be honest, but my best advice is to just be yourself. They love authenticity. I actually feel like Cancers can kind of sniff inauthenticity out more than other signs because of their connection to emotion and heart. They are going to feel how they feel and they know it. Again, they're a water sign, and I do think water signs are incredibly intuitive, so they have that on their side as well. So, what can we do to connect to Cancer season? Connect with water. So, water, Cancer is a water sign. Go to the beach, go to a lake, go to a river, wherever there is a body of water that you can connect to, even if it's a fountain or a pool, and think about some of the intentions you want to set as we leave Cancer season. That's a very simple way to connect to Cancer season and kind of, manifest or lean into your own energy. Just connecting to water, being by water, or going to the beach. Now, I do also have a ritual for you that we can use anytime during Cancer season, but especially as we wrap up Cancer season, we'll be wrapping up this Mercury Retrograde. So when the 22nd, 23rd comes around, I want you to think of this ritual, this Cancer ritual I'm about to share with you, and use this maybe as we come to the end of the retrograde at the end of this month to release anything that is negative, that is not in your highest good. So this is the ritual to keep in mind the rest of Cancer season, especially July 22nd and 23rd. So take a glass bowl, or really any bowl that you have, but take a bowl and fill it with water. And in this bowl of water, put a little pinch of salt. Salt from your kitchen. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just put some salt in the bowl with the water. And then find a quiet space for yourself where you can reflect, or maybe take some time to reflect on this before you do the ritual. But once you have your bowl of salt water, speak into the bowl everything you want to release or let go. So any negative thoughts, any negative habits, any negative ways of being or anxieties you are having. Maybe you're just also feeling negative energy towards people around you and you want to release that and let that go, or you're feeling negative energy around a certain situation and you want to let it go and release that. Speak out everything specifically that you want to wash away, cleanse away, get rid of. Maybe it's even a negative attitude towards something you committed to do. Maybe you committed to eat healthier and you've been having trouble with it. Release those negative thoughts, or those negative thoughts about yourself. Release anything negative, basically. Even if it's just little stuff, if it's on your mind, speak anything negative, anything that's giving you fear, anxiety, into the bowl of salt water. So we are acknowledging these things. We are speaking them into the salt water. Once we have gotten it out, once we have acknowledged it, there's so much power in that. And there's even a little bit of a mental trick it does for us to just acknowledge these things we are letting go, that we are releasing. And it's even more powerful to hear yourself say it out loud, to hear your voice say, I'm releasing these negative feelings I have towards the state of our world right now, or I'm releasing these negative feelings I have toward this person who bumped into me at the grocery store and they really made me angry. Whatever it is that's bothering you or bothering you that day, speak it out, acknowledge it, hear it come from your own voice, and put it into the water. And now once you have this bowl of salt water, if you want to take this ritual to the next level, I would sit and meditate on everything you're releasing, on everything you're letting go. And just use that as a way to elongate this ritual and to really connect more. If you want to take a little extra time to meditate and really think about these things in your life, you can even put on some frequencies that are like healing or removing of negative energy while you're meditating, while you're thinking of these things. And if you're looking for healing frequencies, just like search on Spotify or YouTube, like healing frequencies, listen to a couple playlists or listen to a couple tracks, see what feels good to you or sounds that you like. Or there are even specific frequencies for releasing anxiety, releasing fear, releasing negative energy, claiming positive energy. Play some of those just while you're meditating over the bowl and releasing any negative thoughts, anything negative that you just want to let go of. And once you've kind of taken your time with the bowl of salt, you've meditated on it, you feel you have released all this negative energy around you, I want you to take the bowl of salt and of salt water, what we spoke all of our, negative things we're letting go into, and pour that bowl of water down the drain. Or if you want to make it move away even quicker or even more intensely, you can flush it. That will give it a little extra force if you want to flush it down the toilet, all the negativity that's in your salt water. And we use salt because salt is very cleansing. So it's cleansing out all of this like negative energy from you. So once you have done all that, you dump it down the drain, or maybe you flush it down the toilet. And these are things that I invite you to do what feels right. There's no one way to do it. Just trust your intuition, trust your body, trust what you want to do. And maybe it's as simple as you're doing this ritual in the kitchen, so it makes more sense for you to pour it down the drain than to go flush it down the bathroom. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just do what works for you. Don't overcomplicate it, but put intention into what you are doing and imagine those bad thoughts and negative energy going down the drain and washing away. And that is a ritual that won't cost you anything. That's all stuff that you have at home. You can have a bowl, you have water, you have salt, you have the drain, you have the toilet if you want to flush it. It's just you taking that time, taking that intention and that energy to slow down, connect with yourself, and see what you want to leave behind when we leave Cancer season and when we leave this Mercury retrograde at the end of the month. So keep that ritual in mind. That's in your back pocket. And just like another little tip, if you're ever showering and you're kind of in a bad mood, just imagine all that negativity washing off of you and washing down the drain. Those are just little ways we can kind of maintain our spiritual maintenance. So that way we're feeling good, we're feeling grounded. But that's a very simple ritual just to help clear out the negative energy around you. So that is how we're going to connect to Cancer season. That's what we can do to get the most out of our Cancer season while it's here. So let us know what rituals work for you or what you like to do during Cancer season to connect to the sign and to connect to water. Now, the last thing we're going to do, our third topic, is we're going to talk about the World Cup again. I love talking about these sports events that are happening in media and magic. We talked a lot about the Olympics. I feel a big spiritual connection to the Olympics, and I think the World Cup kind of has that same energy because it's so many people, it's so much energy, so much culture coming together. So we talked about even the Knicks game, right? Sports related again, and how you can bring your team good juju or good energy. So to keep on our, sports and magic kind of, segments, if you will, we are going to do a tarot reading for the finals of the World Cup. So we have, as of today, the 15th of July, 4 teams still in the running. Now, while I'm recording this podcast right now, one game is going on, and that is the game between England and Argentina. So England and Argentina are playing right now, actually, and whoever wins that match will then play France on Saturday, and on Sunday is our finals. Spain is already locked in, so we don't know who the second finalist is going to be, but we do know that Spain will be there. So what I'm going to do is pull one card for each country that is left. So we have England, Argentina, France, and Spain. We are down to our last 4 teams in the World Cup. So we are going to pull from the Way Home Tarot, which is one of my most used tarot decks by far. This is an indie deck that we sell at the Vibe Collective shop. So if you like what you see, you can buy it online in our shop. Just go through the link in our bio or through our website. But that is the tarot deck that we are going to use for our World Cup prediction tarot reading. So we are going to pull, like I said, a card for each country and kind of see what the energy is this week as we wrap up the World Cup here in North America. So our first card is going to be for England. Our second card is for Argentina, who is who I'm rooting for and I actually predict will win, is Argentina. Our third card is for France. And our last card is for Spain. So let's see. Okay, so already seeing some Interesting things. So let's start with England and Argentina. So England, we have the Seven of Wands, and Argentina has the Ace of Swords. So England, this is a battle hard won. When I see the Seven of Wands, I also tell people that if this is something that they have been working towards, this is something that really means a lot to you. If I had to predict how the game is going to end today, I would say Argentina. Argentina winning. So we'll see what happens. The game is going on right now. But I say that because this card, Seven of Wands, that we pulled for England is a lot about finding yourself and kind of doing more inner work and doing things, but standing up for yourself and standing up for what you believe in. I don't know a lot of the, I guess, personal lore maybe that's going on with England. This feels more personal, right? The World Cup feels more personal for them. It feels like, honestly, more of a gonna kind of launch some careers for them on more of a personal level, but I do not think that they are going to win today. I think Argentina is going to win because they have the Ace of Swords, and this is all about clean slate, fresh mind, fresh way of thinking. So here I do feel there's a lot of personal stuff going on, and maybe it may cause England to get in their head a little bit. Whereas when we have the Ace of Swords, this is to me clarity, truth, clear thinking, moving forward, and this matches their uniform as well. But this feels very positive, and this is a fresh start, a new beginning. It's almost giving the energy that even though this is the finals, this is still like game one to them, right? And they approach everything with this fresh new energy, no matter where they have been in the tournament and all of this. They approach everything with this freshness, and I feel it's very powerful, and it's honestly what's like helping them kind of keep things moving. Is they just kind of let it go, and the next day is a new game, and you can't continue to carry it with you, whereas we're having more of a personal thing happen here with England. So yeah, that is what we have. That's my prediction for today's game, and that's the energy I'm feeling for both of these teams. Now, for France, we have the Six of Swords, and ultimately for Spain, we have 10 of Pentacles. Now, this is really interesting. Tarot takes where our current energy is, right? So we're pulling these cards as the World Cup final week, and this is the current energy everyone is sitting in. So Spain has 10 of Pentacles. They're the only team that is officially locked in as of right now for the finals. And when we see the 10 of Pentacles, that means our table is full. We got there, we got to the end, and we can sit around with all the people we love and admire and enjoy where we are and where we got. So I do feel a lot of that is the energy that they are in right now, kind of leading up to this finals. Now, of course, the game isn't over, but they have gotten as far as they can today, right? So there's a little bit of celebration. There's a little bit of acknowledgement of the riches that they are feeling right now with already being in the finals, with already being locked in. This is very secure. 10 of Pentacles is a card really of security. And that is looking really good for Spain. Like, I can feel the energy that they have right now. That is just like this, we've done all we can. This has got us to the finals. Now we have a couple days to kind of enjoy the energy that we're in before we go and have our final game and really go for it. So energy is feeling very good and very high for Spain right now. Now, France, we have the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords here is about travel. It's about letting people help you, but it is somewhat a card of defeat is honestly the word that is coming to my mind, which is why I feel that Argentina will win today. Argentina will play France on Saturday, probably beat France, and it will be Argentina and Spain in the finals together. I say that because if you think of the traditional Six of Swords tarot, someone is like in a boat with another person, and they're rowing away, and they look sad when they're in the boat. So I do feel they're going to leave the game on Saturday losing, probably a little sad. They will have to lean on each other, lean on the community and support around them. That's a big thing with Six in tarot as well, is connection, community, generosity. But Six of Swords is about traveling. It's about moving. It's about moving forward from something that has maybe been a hardship. So that is what I think, honestly. I gave you my full prediction. So let's run through them one more time. For England, we have the Seven of Wands, which is personal journey. Honestly, staking your claim, but in more of a personal way of doing what you love, unapologetically, even if it doesn't result in what you want. Argentina. We have Ace of Wands, which is clarity, new beginning, fresh start, clean slate. This is telling me that there's doing something to definitely help with their mental health as they're going through this. This feels like such mental clarity and not so much stress. France, we have the Six of Swords, which is about moving on from tumultuous times, moving forward into a new journey and accepting help and support from others. So that is what we have for France. And then last, for Spain, we have that Ten of Pentacles, which is security, family, community, completion. They are, in a way, coming to the end of their journey differently than everyone else, right? Because they were the first team to kind of lock in the finals, but they still know they have finals to play. But I'm feeling a big sense of community and connection for them right now, especially as they go into the finals on Sunday. Ultimately, though, I already said it. I think Argentina is going to bring it all the way home. So that is my prediction. We will see what happens, but it's just fun to even pull some cards, see what the energy is, and maybe it will show up differently than how I'm saying, but we will see. That is what I have for you. We'll check in next week and see how we did on our World Cup tarot card predictions, but have a great week, Vibe Collective, and as always, find the magic in your own life.